I'm Stan Ellsworth. You might have heard me talking about history on American Ride. But today, I want to talk about the United States Constitution, how it came to be, why it came to be, and what makes the United States Constitution a revolutionary document even today. So throttle up, baby. Let's hear the story. In October of 1929, the Great Depression hit the United States of America. President Herbert Hoover did everything he could think of to get the American economy back online. Nothing seemed to work. In 1932 came Franklin Delano Roosevelt, campaigning for the office of president on a song. Happy days are here again. And a promise. I'm going to get you your beer back. Americans turned out in droves for that election, and Franklin Roosevelt became our new president. First thing FDR did when he got into office was commit himself to getting America back her beer. It would be with the 21st Amendment. The 21st would cancel out that 18th Amendment. Now, the way you unamend the Constitution is the same way you amend the Constitution. 3/4 of the states have to approve the new amendment. Took 36 states. Happened pretty quick. America had her beer back. And happy days were here again. Now, the Great Depression was a worldwide problem. There were nations all over that were trying to figure out a way out of this hole. And the United States was no different. Franklin Roosevelt was doing everything he could think of. And actually, Roosevelt came up with some pretty good ideas, like the CCC, the TVA. These opportunities really did legitimately put America back to work. But there were a bunch of other agencies that were simply deemed unconstitutional. Now, principal among them was the NRA. Not that NRA. In this case, NRA stands for the National Recovery Act. And that would have nationalized industry and banking. The Supreme Court said to Mr. President, you got to reel it in. You can't just change the law with a stroke of your pen. Roosevelt was furious. Well, it would take Roosevelt the better part of 3 terms to put everything back together again with the agencies he tried to create to help the American economy. Now, Roosevelt was first elected in 1932, and then again in 1936. And most people that had been elected president, they honored the precedent that had been established by George Washington. They only sat for 2 terms. But in 1940, World War II was on the horizon. And most Americans, they felt that a steady hand on the tiller was what America needed. And Roosevelt was elected to an unprecedented 3rd term. And in 1944, when America was in the middle of World War II, nobody was thinking, this is a great time to change captains. So Roosevelt was elected to an unheard of 4th term. It was Roosevelt's elections in 1940 and 44 that precipitated the ratification of the 20th Amendment. That's the one that puts a term limit on the president. Now it's unconstitutional for anyone to serve longer than 2 terms as the President of the United States. Join us next time for the great constitutional debate.
Subscribe now. It's history with attitude and the American story with an edge.